Prowess, to seek excellence in all endeavors in the service of justice rather than in personal aggrandizement. A Jedi strives to excel physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Justice. Seek always the path of right, unencumbered by bias or personal interest. Recognize that the sword of justice can be a terrible thing, so it must be tempered by humanity and mercy. Meditate often upon the will of the Force, as it means to discern both justice as well as discerning both good and evil. Loyalty. Be known for unwavering commitment to the people and ideals you choose to live by. There are many places where compromise is expected. Loyalty is not amongst them. Defense. The Jedi Knight is sworn by oath to defend the light. Seek always to defend your nation, your family, and those to whom you believe worthy of loyalty. Courage. Being a Jedi Knight often means choosing the more difficult path, the personally more expensive one. Be prepared to make personal sacrifice in the service of the precepts and people you value. At the same time, a Jedi Knight should seek wisdom to see that stupidity and courage are cousins. Seek the truth wherever possible, but remember to temper justice with mercy, or the pure truth can bring grief. Faith. A Jedi's faith is in the light, and to the one from which it emanates, as his guidance, as his path, as his friend, and as his destiny. The path of Jedi is a path of inner illumination and the conquering of the lesser self, that the greater inner self, better known as Jedi, may in turn take dominion over the life purpose and destiny of the outer self. Humility. Value first the contributions of others. Do not boast of your own accomplishments, let others do this for you. Tell the deeds of others before your own, according them the renown rightfully earned through virtuous deeds. Fearlessness. Fear leads to the dark side. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. There is so much superstition and hypocrisy around that one is afraid even to do the right thing. But if one gives way to fear, even truth will have to be suppressed. The golden rule is to act fearlessly upon what one believes to be right. Fearlessness does not mean arrogance or aggressiveness. That in itself is a sign of fear. Fearlessness presupposes calmness and peace of mind. For this it is necessary to have a living faith in the light. He who has awakened his spirit to the light is free from fear. Fear lies in illusions in the mind. Listen always to the still small voice within. Commune within by meditation, both moving and sitting still. Practice courage until it becomes who you are. Practice equanimity, which is to experience changes and be unmoved. When fear is displaced within, always replace it with light. Nature abhors a vacuum. Nobility. Seek great stature in the character by holding to the virtues and duties of a Jedi Knight, realizing that although the ideals cannot be reached, the quality of striving towards them ennobles the spirit, growing the character from dust towards the heavens. Nobility has the tendency to influence others, offering a compelling example of what can be done in the service of rightness. Franchise. Seek to emulate everything here as sincerely as possible. Do not for the reason of personal gain, but because it is right. Do not restrict your explorations to a small world, but seek to infuse every aspect of your life with these qualities. Using the Force for selfish purposes, self-gain, egoism, even convenience, crosses the line between the light and the dark side. Pure motive. It is true that actions speak louder than words. However, behind every action is motive and a pure purpose. Without a sound motive and purpose, action has no meaning, no destination, and lacks foundation. Action without motive and purpose does nothing other than to move for the sake of moving, beating the air to appear to be doing something when in fact it is doing nothing. The proverbial spinning wheels in the mud. A Jedi moves with the Force. He meditates upon the will of the Force. A Jedi's actions are firmly based upon a deep motivation to serve the Force of light and is deeply rooted in purpose. There is no wasted movement or the need for action when none is required. For a Jedi, action means nothing without a pure motive or a sound purpose. Discipline. A Jedi's mind is a calm ocean like a sea of glass. He realizes that it is in conquering the tides of the emotions as well as reactions to stimulus that allows the Jedi to be victorious in all things. For he is chalice for the Force, an extension of the will of the Force. This inner stillness requires much discipline mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Focus. A Jedi's focus is in the moment, in the now, realizing that the stylus of time cuts in the present and that history is perpetually in the making. A Jedi Knight realizes that the past is important as well as the future, working to develop the spiritual faculties to perceive and discern such, but not at the expense of the present, of the here and now. Discretion. It is sometimes necessary for a Jedi to practice discretion. Jedi stand for order and justice. However, Jedi prioritize and streamline their involvement and do not allow the misdeeds of the few to interfere with the conscious direction received as the will of the Force, and how their office as Jedi helps bring these into fruition. The goal of the Jedi strives should be to create and preserve an atmosphere where justice can flourish, rather than try to create justice themselves. Meditation. Every Jedi should spend time each day meditating upon the will of the Force. The reason for this is simple. If one has acted unwillingly contrary to the will of the Force, recognizing the mistake soon after may still give one time to make amends. By regularly examining one's own motivations, a Jedi could be certain that she was not allowing emotions, ignorance, or passion to intrude upon their clarity. A Jedi who has no time to meditate may more easily become lost. More to the point, a Jedi who refuses to meditate may already know that her motivations are not pure, and is thus lying to herself. The Jedi who heeds not the counsel of the Force to the dark side listens. Because a Jedi is an integral component of the light side, it is therefore a prudent practice for the Jedi to also meditate upon the luminous essence of being, the inner light, at least once a day, which purifies the mind, motives, and direction. Training. A Jedi's training in the Force never ends. A wise Jedi should strive to remember that there is always something more to learn about the Force. The Force reveals itself to those who have the desire and knowledge to see it, and merely heeding the Force's will is much the same as looking at an elephant's toe and saying, "Now I understand the elephant." To continue to grow, a Jedi should train each day. Integrity. A Jedi's responsibility to the Force is to be honest with himself. As long as the Jedi is not acting for his own self-interest and observes the code, he is obeying the will of the Force. A Jedi can and should offer advice to those who need it from a certain point of view. A Jedi is not being dishonest if he allows people to believe what they wish to believe. It is not incumbent upon the Jedi to convince anyone to follow his advice. A Jedi is serving the Force. When a Jedi is serving the Force, he may allow others to believe what they will, as long as he does so with a righteous aim. Do not confuse this with moral flexibility. A Jedi does what needs to be done, but also remember, a Jedi is not above the law. Morality. Jedi Knights practice non-interference with differing cultures, and while Jedi can bring and restore order and justice, they do not themselves sit in judgment of others. As a rule, judgment leads to vengeance, and vengeance leads to the dark side. Therefore, as a rule, Jedis are not enforcers of morality per se. However, at the same time, while not judges, Jedi can be mediators. It is a role they are suited for, and one that works in accordance with the Force, since mediation leads to balance. Engaging in conflict. Conflict is a fact of life in the galaxies for far too many beings, and no Jedi can hope to remain apart from it. But a Jedi need not embrace conflict. But when is it necessary for a Jedi to actively engage in conflict? The Force will show a Jedi when he has no other options, and a wise Jedi trusts the Force in this regard. Intervention. A Jedi must not allow evil to take place once they become aware of its workings. To remain aloof in situations where a Jedi's intervention would prevent the dark side from attaining another foothold is the same as helping it do so. This a Jedi must never do. A true Jedi must constantly be wary of his path, making certain he does not stray toward the dark side, but remains firm in the light. Therefore, when the situation warrants it, the Jedi acts as an extension of the will of the Force, and is therefore sponsored and backed by that will. Last one, harmonizing. The path of the Jedi is more than just a system of techniques for controlling, sensing, and altering the Force. It is a deep spiritual ideology of existence, a deeply meaningful and moving panoramic journey and path of the soul and spirit, in which the individual sees his true nature as a part of the larger whole, and claims his rightful place in the symbiotic whole of the way of things. A Jedi seeks to live in harmony with the universe, focusing on the most serious and intent disciplines, and gains spherical awareness to reach his goal. There are inherent temptations that seem to create conflict between nature and the mind, which mistakenly urge the Jedi to fall onto easier paths. This the Jedi strives to avoid at all costs, no matter how dear or how tempting. A Jedi should focus his efforts on creating harmony between all things. They detest violence of any sort and reluctantly engage in resolving in combat as a last resort when all other attempts at conflict resolution have failed. May the Force be with you.